she didn't believe in God. Until heaven entered her hospital room, she was strong. But not the kind of strength that comes from faith. Hers came from survival. She was the kind of woman who learned early not to expect anything from anyone. Rejected by her father, betrayed by her husband, ignored by life. She raised 2 children practically alone, worked 2 jobs, slept little, cried silently in the bathroom, and smiled on bad days just so her kids wouldn't worry. She never had time for God. When someone talked about faith, she would say, if God existed, he would have spared me a lot. She wasn't mean. She was tired, skeptical. A regular woman, 45 years old, doing the best she could with what little she had. She only believed in what she could see, touch, control. Until one day, her body gave out, a sudden blackout. No warning signs. She woke up in a hospital, surrounded by wires, white lights, the smell of alcohol, and fear. The diagnosis was unclear, but the doctor spoke of serious infection, organ failure risk, unstable condition. She, who always took care of everything and everyone, was now lying there, helpless. But not to God. She was at the mercy of doctors, of fate, of fear. And it was right there, in that bed, in that sterile room, in her unbelief, that something unexpected happened. Her youngest son, just 5 years old, entered the room. He climbed up beside her, took her hand and said, "Mommy, have you talked to Jesus?" She smiled weakly, unsure if she should laugh or cry. But before she could say anything, he added, "I talk to him every night, and he listens to me. Want me to teach you?" And that was when the woman who never believed heard the most beautiful prayer of her life. The woman who controlled everything. She never had a plan B. From a young age, she learned either she did it herself or no one would. She didn't come from a stable home. Grew up watching fights, broken promises, closed doors. And over time, she built walls around her heart. "Trust only in me," she'd say silently. She married young, believing love would be her shelter. But that shelter became a storm. Her husband left when their second child was still a baby. And that's when the journey of a woman who no longer cried in public began. She became mother, provider, nurse, cook, counselor all at once. Worked as a nursing assistant during the day and cleaned houses at night. Many times the fridge held only milk and eggs. She owned just 3 pairs of shoes, one for work, one for errands, and one decent pair for special occasions, which never came. Still, she smiled. For her kids, for her neighbors. But deep inside, she carried a weariness no amount of sleep could heal. Religion? No. She tried church once, but felt judged, out of place. She believed God was just another one who abandoned her. If God existed, my husband wouldn't have cheated. If God loved me, I wouldn't be raising 2 kids alone. Thoughts like these grew silently within her, and unknowingly, she built her faith in herself. She called herself strong, but it was a defensive, exhausted kind of strength. And then, at 45, her body said what her soul had hidden for years. It started with strange pains, shortness of breath, dizziness. She ignored it. She had bills, work, kids, life to live, until one morning, while packing her son's lunch, everything spun. She collapsed on the kitchen floor, passed out, and that was the beginning of the greatest miracle of her life. The body cried out. She woke up struggling. Everything was blurry, voices distant, and that sterile hospital smell, alcohol, urgency. She tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't move. A nurse approached. "Stay calm. You fainted. You're being monitored in the observation ward." She wanted to say she was fine, that she needed to leave, that her kids were waiting. But deep down she knew she wasn't fine. Not this time. Tests followed, blood work, scans, heart monitors. The fever wouldn't break. Her body was shutting down. The doctors spoke of severe infection, possible sepsis. She caught glimpses of her kids in the hallway, confused and scared, being led away by a neighbor. She who always knew what to do was now disarmed. Hospitalization felt like falling into an abyss, where her most prized possessions, control, independence, routine simply vanished. Her head spun, her chest tightened, and fear began to fill every corner. She cried at night in secret, not because of the physical pain, but because her heart for the first time, whispered, "I don't know what to do anymore." Doctors talked of complications. "We're monitoring," they said. But their eyes, those eyes that had seen too much, held silent warnings. And it was in that fragile, fearful, lonely place that a strange thought came. If God does exist, would he hear me? She didn't know how to pray. Didn't even know where to start. But she wanted to try. And she couldn't. That same day, the hospital allowed her youngest son to visit briefly. And that's when everything began to change. The boy who knelt, the door creaked open. A nurse entered first, followed by two tiny, determined footsteps. It was him, the little one, 5 years old. A serious face, kind eyes, and a blue backpack bigger than he was. When he saw his mother pale and hooked up to machines, he didn't cry. He climbed into the chair beside her, helped by a nurse. Took her hand. Just looked at her. She tried to smile. "Hi, baby. You came to see Mommy." He nodded, squeezed her hand. Then with the peace only a child of heaven can carry, he asked, "Mommy, have you talked to Jesus?" She frowned. Didn't expect that. Tried to laugh, but it was only a breath. "No, baby. Mommy doesn't know how." He laid his little head on her arm and said, with a heart full of faith, "I can teach you." I talk to him every night. He listens fast. He likes kids. She didn't know what to say. For the first time in years, she was speechless. Then the boy closed his eyes. Still holding her hand, he knelt on the chair. And he prayed, "Hi, Daddy in heaven. It's me again. But today I'm not asking for toys or candy or anything. I just want my mommy. She's sick, Jesus, and I don't know how to fix her. But you do, right? Because you know everything. So please take care of my mommy for me. Blow a healing wind into this room. Stay with her today, okay? Hug her real tight like you did to people in the books. Make her laugh again. Bring her back home. I promise I'll eat everything without complaining. And I'll share my cars if you let her stay with me longer. Amen." That moment was sacred. No monitors, no hallway noise, just a child's voice in heaven's hands. And the woman cried, not out of fear, but because something was born in her that moment. Faith. That prayer was the beginning of the miracle. The prayer that reached heaven. She kept her eyes closed, still holding her son's hand, as if trying to freeze that moment in time. There was something different in the air, a subtle peace, almost imperceptible, but real. A peace that didn't come from medicine or from good news. It was a peace that could only come from heaven. That child's prayer wasn't elegant by adult standards. No fancy words, no scripture quotes, but it carried everything heaven longs to hear: truth, surrender, love. And as he stood there, eyes closed, suddenly, she felt it, as if someone had entered the room. No door creaked, no voice spoke, but the atmosphere changed. The pain was still there. Her body still ached, but something new filled the space, presence. She looked at the boy. He was smiling as if he already knew everything would be okay. She squeezed his little hand and whispered, "Thank you, baby, for teaching me." He replied, "Mommy, now it's your turn. Talk to Jesus too." She closed her eyes. With a trembling voice, but a heart wide open for the first time, she spoke, "Hi, Jesus. I don't know how to pray pretty, and I don't know if you can hear me, but my son believes you do. So if you're here, stay with me. I'm scared. I don't want to leave yet. Take care of them. Take care of me, and thank you for sending my son to remind me of you." She didn't know, but that night, heaven itself leaned over her hospital bed. And for the first time since it all began, she slept. No sedatives, no fear, she slept. In peace, and she dreamed. The dream that spoke to her. She slept like someone who gave up control and woke up her soul. In the dream there was no hospital, no pain. She stood in an open field, the sky clear, a gentle breeze on her face. And there was light, not ordinary light. It didn't blind, it embraced. It didn't burn, it healed. From the light came a voice, calm, strong, undeniable. "You are not alone, never have been. I waited. And today, you opened the door." She looked around and saw her own life playing before her eyes. A hard childhood, tears hidden in the bathroom, her broken marriage, forgotten birthdays, sleepless nights with sick children, moments she wanted to disappear but kept going, out of love. And in every scene, There was a presence, a glow, a hand reaching out, a shadow protecting. Then the voice said, "Even when you didn't believe in me, I believed in you." She collapsed to her knees. In the dream, she wept as she never had in real life. And then she felt arms wrap around her, strong, warm, a hug from a father. "You don't have to be strong all the time. Let me take care of you." And then she woke up, but this time not in panic, not in despair. She woke up in peace. The monitor beeped steadily. Her fever had broken. Her body still weak, but her heart awakened. She looked up and whispered, "Thank you. I know that was you. That wasn't a dream. It was real." And right there in that sterile room, a new woman was born. She learned to pray. She was no longer the woman who entered that hospital days ago. Her body still needed healing, but her soul was standing. And for the first time in her life, she wanted to pray, not as a chore, not repeating memorized lines, but as a daughter, finding her way back to the Father. That morning, she asked to be alone. She stared at the ceiling, held the rosary left by a nurse on the table, and began slowly. "Hi, God, it's me. Again, I don't know how to do this like others, but I know you heard me. Thank you for last night. Thank you for not giving up on me. Even when I gave up on you." The tears flowed easily now, but they weren't from sadness. They were gratitude. Later, when her son returned to visit, she hugged him tight and said, "Today it was Mommy who prayed." And Jesus listened again. He smiled with the glow of a child who carries heaven in his eyes. "I told you he likes us, Mommy." In the days that followed, she asked for someone to read her the Bible. She asked God for simple things. "Teach me to trust. Help me not to go back to who I was. Watch over my children when I can't." She wasn't in a rush to leave. She knew healing needed to be complete. And she had learned something profound. Healing doesn't start in the body. It begins when the soul surrenders, when the heart learns to lean on God. Discharged, faithful, and reborn. The doctor entered with a clipboard and a calm smile. "We've got good news. Your infection is under control. Your vitals are stable. If all goes well, you'll be discharged in a few days." She heard it, and her heart responded differently this time. Yes, she wanted to go home, hug her children, breathe air without filters. But now she knew it wasn't just her body being released. It was her soul, being resent into the world, healed. When she left the hospital, she didn't take a photo, didn't record a video, but she made a silent promise. "I'll never live far from the voice that saved me." Back home, the joy was pure, but the look in her eyes was different, deeper, the eyes of someone who almost lost it all, and now sees every second as a divine gift. She prayed every day, alone with her children, in silence. Simple, honest, constant. She didn't become perfect. Still had bad days, still cried sometimes, but now she knew where to run. The woman who once said, "I don't believe in God," now said, "Lord, without your love, I wouldn't be here." And the little boy, that 5-year-old evangelist, kept his unshakable faith. But now he had someone to kneel beside, a mother who prayed with him, a home that was learning to become a church. Conclusion: sometimes God speaks through a child's faith. Maybe you saw yourself in this story. Maybe you're that woman who spent a lifetime trying to be too strong. Or maybe you're the child inside someone who stopped believing. But today, hear this with love. God never left you. Sometimes he enters through a child's prayer. Sometimes he arrives in your fear with peace that doesn't make sense. Sometimes he shows up just when you think all is lost. If your body is tired, if your soul is broken, if you don't know what to pray anymore, pray like that child. Speak simply, speak honestly, and know he listens. Because God never asked for perfection. He just wants you to open the door. Today, take a moment. Just close your eyes and say, "Jesus, I don't know how to start, but I'm here. Stay with me." That simple sentence could be the start of your miracle. If this story touched you, comment below, "Jesus, teach me to pray like a child," and send it to someone who needs to believe again. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell to receive more stories that heal the soul. Share this video. It might be the prayer that saves a life.